Sleepy English Academy. Title: The Second Chance. Dylan Reed never thought he'd be back in his hometown. 20 years ago, he left Pineville, a quiet, tight-knit town on the edge of endless farmlands, chasing dreams of success and wealth in the big city. Now, at 45, he was back, sitting in the modest living room of his late father's house, surrounded by a life he thought he had left behind for good. Returning to Pineville wasn't in his plans. But after his father's sudden passing, Dylan had come home to take care of family matters, expecting it to be a quick visit. However, the small town had other ideas. As he walked the familiar streets, memories began to surface. Friends, old loves, choices he'd made with certainty in his youth, and the regrets that lingered like shadows. Dylan's father, James Reed, had been a mechanic, a well-known and respected figure in town. Unlike his father, Dylan was drawn to ambition, to achieving something bigger. He became a high-powered lawyer, a man who handled corporate mergers and million-dollar deals. By every measure, he was successful. But despite his achievements, Dylan felt a growing emptiness, a gnawing sense that he had lost his way somewhere along his journey. A few days after the funeral, Dylan went to his father's garage to sort through the tools, old car parts, and endless stacks of magazines. The garage was a mess of projects left unfinished, cars half repaired, and notes scribbled on random scraps of paper. Dylan could practically feel his father's presence in the room, the man who could fix anything except the rift that had grown between them over the years. Just as he was packing up a box, a familiar voice broke the silence. "I didn't think I'd see you back here, Dylan." Dylan turned to see Rachel Carter, his high school girlfriend. She looked almost the same, though her eyes carried a wisdom and resilience he hadn't remembered. Rachel had stayed in Pineville, built a life here, and had become the town's veterinarian. They had shared dreams once, dreams of escaping the small town together. But Dylan's ambitions had taken him far away, while Rachel's path had kept her close to her roots. They caught up awkwardly, reminiscing about the past, careful not to step into the tender places where hurt and memory lingered. Eventually, Rachel's voice softened as she asked, "Why did you come back, Dylan?" "I mean, really?" Dylan hesitated. "I thought it was just to settle things, sell the house, tie up loose ends. But now, I'm not so sure." He confessed to Rachel that he had been feeling adrift for a long time, despite his success. "It's strange, Rachel. I feel like I worked so hard for everything I have, but now, I don't know if I even wanted any of it." Rachel's eyes softened. "Maybe what you need is a second chance to figure it out. Your father's garage still has potential. It was his dream to expand, to create something lasting here. Maybe that's something worth staying for." The idea struck him unexpectedly. Could he rebuild his father's garage, make it into a thriving business in Pineville? It was a leap, a complete departure from his corporate life, but the more he thought about it, the more it appealed to him. For the first time in years, Dylan felt a flicker of excitement that went beyond money or status. It was about building something real, connecting with people, and finding his own place within a community. Over the following weeks, Dylan decided to stay in Pineville, at least for a while. He poured himself into the garage, cleaning, fixing, and restoring the space. With Rachel's encouragement, he reached out to local businesses and people he hadn't seen in years, finding unexpected allies who helped him modernize the garage while keeping its charm intact. Slowly, Dylan started offering services and word spread. His father's old clients returned and new ones came, curious about the big city lawyer who had come home to fix cars. But life in Pineville wasn't always easy. Dylan had his share of frustrations, unlike his old life, where problems could be solved with a few well-placed calls. Fixing up cars and running a local business required patience. One particularly tough day, a loyal customer's car broke down shortly after Dylan had worked on it, leading to whispers of doubt around town. Dylan was humiliated and thought about leaving, returning to the safety and familiarity of his corporate world. Rachel saw his frustration and asked him to take a walk with her. They strolled down a path they used to walk as teenagers, and as they walked, Rachel shared her own struggles, the times she questioned her choices, the doubts that had crept in. But every time I felt lost, I reminded myself that here, I was part of something bigger. These people rely on me, and I rely on them. You're one of us now, Dylan. You're part of this town. Dylan knew she was right. This was no longer about running away or chasing something new. It was about roots, community, and being part of something that mattered. That night, he made a choice to stay, not just as a visitor, but as a true resident of Pineville. Over the months, the garage became a hub in the town. It wasn't just a place to fix cars. It was where people gathered, where old friends reconnected, where stories were shared. Dylan even organized a monthly mechanics night, inviting people to come learn basic car maintenance skills. With every day he spent there, he felt his heart heal, his sense of purpose grow. Dylan and Rachel's friendship also deepened, though it wasn't exactly as it had been. They were older, wiser, and knew that love wasn't always as simple as it once seemed. Yet, as they worked together, shared meals, and built something meaningful in the town they had both grown up in, a quiet affection grew between them. They weren't the same people they'd been at 18, but perhaps they had grown into a love that was even more real and lasting. In the end, Dylan found himself where he had never expected to be, living in Pineville, working in his father's garage, and surrounded by people who cared for him. He didn't have the wealth he had once thought essential, but he had something far more valuable, a life rich with purpose, friendships, and belonging. As he looked out one evening over the town he had once left, Dylan understood he had been given a second chance, not just to rebuild a garage, but to rebuild himself. And for the first time in a long time, he was truly home.
Subscribe for more videos. Your support helps me create more content. Thanks for watching.